I'm David Doak from Free Radical. I'm a company director at Free Radical. I'm one of the founders, and I'm here to talk about Haze, which is our new first-person shooter. So Haze is an FPS set in the kind of near to middle future, about 40 years from now, and it's in a world where the UN, NATO kind of peacekeeping around the world has been superseded by a company called Mantle. And the evolution there is kind of that Mantle were making all the equipment for the armies anyway, and they took it a step further and they kind of like took on board the running the armies. And in the game you play a character called Shane Carpenter, who's a sergeant, a Mantle trooper fighting the good fight for Mantle. And the events of the game take place over a continuous 3-day period and take you as the player and Shane on a bit of a roller coaster ride through finding out what war is all about. So Mantle make the best gear. They also make pharmaceuticals. So not only do they get their guys fighting with the best equipment, they give them a little bit of an extra boost as well with a substance called nectar. Within the game there are different states that the player's in associated with the current nectar in their blood. So normally there's just a kind of normal running state, which is kind of like moderate nectar. You can boost it manually yourself. If you get a bit overzealous, keep the button down a bit too much in the height of combat, you can go into this overdose state. And that's like you become such a good fighter that you become a killing machine. And in that state we adjust the rendering in the game so that it becomes harder to tell the difference between friend and foe. And we take away your firing control. Your firing control becomes just kill, kill, kill. So if you go into this overdose state, if you can imagine doing it with your squad, suddenly you need to be careful where you're pointing. If there's someone in front of you, you could easily be taking them out. And all of these things, all of the things that we've done with the nectar have meaningful consequences in multiplayer, because we really wanted to skew the whole symmetry of the multiplayer game so that it's not just saying, okay, I'm on the red side or I'm on the green side. It's like, I'm going to be a trooper or I'm going to be a rebel. And different people, and there should be a bravado about that. You know, it's like, okay, I'm going to be a trooper, so I've got these great abilities. So I say, well, I'm going to be a rebel because I know how to exploit that, because we have kind of scissors, paper, stones mechanism working whereby the rebels can actually do things to the troopers that make the nectar state go wrong for them. So a meaningful choice in multiplayer, which we think supports the whole fiction of the game. A fundamental thing we wanted to do with Haze was to make the storytelling experience as compelling as possible. In war games generally it's usually quite bland. It's like black and white, you're on this side, these are the bad guys, and nothing really changes. This is a story where we're more interested in your perception and Shane's perception, which becomes the player's perception of the war that they're in. So that's a thing that changes. There's actual character development going on here. The guy you are at the end is not the guy you were at the start. And for the player, that's got to be, you know, that's the thing. We're putting you in this guy's shoes. We want to make it an interesting journey. Another thing about the experience, which we've always wanted to do from the start, is to make it so that this narrative experience, this kind of like story campaign, is something that you can share, so you can play it cooperatively. And we've gone to make it something you can play 4-player cooperatively, because I think that adds a lot of replayability, and also possibly the fun idea that you play through it first time with your friends. You know, people go and watch films with their friends or with their family, and when you're watching a film, it's like, hey, what do you think is going to happen next? Or hey, he's the bad guy. Things are changing. And with games, you don't tend to get that. You tend to get the kind of, oh, have you played this? Yeah, don't spoil it for me. Or yeah, I've seen that bit. I know what happens next. You know, so you know, there's a potential of something new and exciting. So Haze, we're leading on PS3. You may see it on other platforms as well. But and we're going to have the game out by the end of the year, so look for it later in 2007.